Hey, it's the day after Thanksgiving, and we are finally here to see Napoleon. We've all been waiting for Napoleon. Guys, are you ready?
It's going to be awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah, all
Loving
right.
it.
So here are three wargamers. As a wargamer, I'm really only looking for one thing, and that's a couple of good lines to use in my next Napoleonic game.
I just want to see some good battle scenes, man. I'm ready for a good fight.
And I'm looking for a great Ridley Scott movie.
Well, we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to go see it now, and then we're going to be in the game room and give you our thoughts.
3 hours later.
What was that?
Oh, man.
That was a bad movie, Mark.
Not what I expected. Not at all.
All right, so here we are, 3 hours, 3 hours older than we recorded that little piece on our phone in front of the theater. And boy, we were naive.
Well,
We've seen his movies before. We really liked them, or I did.
Okay. So I wanted a great movie lines to say in our games.
Yeah.
You wanted battle scenes.
Yeah.
I want a great Ridley Scott film.
And he made us all very
Disappointed.
disappointed.
So,
it's
yeah.
a good word.
All right, so this is as wargamers, guys. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're a wargamer, there's spoiler alerts here, but also kind of a cautionary tale, right? Because we went in it, or I did, right? I went in it thinking it was going to be more of a war movie based on all the promotional material.
Yeah. So if you go for the battle scenes, my recommendation is watch the trailer, and you will see about half of the battle footage in the entire movie.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the stuff in the battle scenes is wrong. So it's big, it's cool in that respect, but people who know the details.
Yeah, the battle scenes that are there have a lot of people, and there's a lot of shooting and explosions, and the sound is nice, and so it has that going for it. But
the battles, I guess we're talking about battles, guys, right? Because that's kind of what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
But thinking about it on the ride home, in between my rages about it, what came out to me is I think he approached it more as medieval battles, right? Because Napoleon is leading charges. Even when he's at Waterloo and he's an old man, and Wellington can see Napoleon in his tent.
A tent,
right?
right behind the Grand Battery,
right? And the battles are all very small, and they're very much like how Braveheart would do a battle.
yeah,
Right, like first the infantry, then the cavalry. So there was a lot of it just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. I'm sorry.
But more importantly, there are very few actual battles. And if you wanted to have Napoleon charge, there's a great scene in Napoleon's life in the bridge at Lodi in the Italian campaign where he tries to charge.
Good point. Oh, by the way, the Italian campaign
Is not in the movie.
did not appear in the movie at all. And that's where he becomes recognized as a military genius, and it's not in there.
An important part of his career. That's not in there. It's not. But that's because there was a directorial choice here, and that was to tell. There's a lot going on in Napoleon's life, right? And you do have to make choices. Yeah. Ridley Scott's choice in this case was to make it about the romance, such as it is, between Napoleon and Josephine.
So the movie should be called Napoleon and Josephine.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's right.
Right, because that's what it's about. It focuses mainly on his relationship with Napoleon.
Yeah.
Right, and Maria Louisa comes in, and she's literally in one scene, and she's just there to have babies.
And she has a kid, and
then Josephine dies, and the implication is that's why Napoleon loses Waterloo.
Yeah, it sort of felt that way.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought when we were watching the movie, Josephine gets sick. I thought Napoleon was going to visit her and get sick from her and be sick at Waterloo because he met her. I was getting to that point.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
But yeah, even that is not well handled, right? Even just from a movie as a love story perspective, it's not that interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Napoleon's portrayal is not that compelling, and neither is Josephine's.
She was attractive.
Yeah.
But
in a vacant stare sort of way.
I mean, she was pretty benign as a character. She wasn't attractive.
I'm trying to say something good, okay? I'm trying to say something good.
Wellington was good.
No, he was terrible. No, Wellington was terrible. Come on, Christopher Plummer. It'll always be my Wellington, right? He was just awesome. This guy reminded me more of like, was it Hugh Laurie or
Hugh Laurie.
like, that's what he reminded me of. Like,
anything Hugh Laurie does is gold. So Hugh Laurie could be my vote.
I don't know, more like Blackadder. He had a couple historical lines, right? And there, he gave him so wooden.
Fair.
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 Really wooden and.
Yeah.
Did he even watch 1970s Waterloo? Like,
1970 Waterloo was awesome.
Really good.
Go see that movie. Go watch that movie if you want to see Napoleon in a battle.
I just bought a book called Waterloo, The Making of an Epic. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to devour that, and we'll do a video about how they made a real kind of Napoleon movie.
We all saw that before we went over to Belgium in October.
Really
Very
good,
cool.
So
Very
I don't know.
cool.
I mean, I think we could rail on this for a long time, but
sure.
I mean, here's the other big thing I'll say is I don't feel like the script or the movie maker really understood what he was making, and I say that because at times he gets very forensic about the history. Like, it's this date, it's this actual person, right? And so to me that's saying, okay, this is supposed to be a really interesting historical film, but then at other times it's not. And
it doesn't, when they go into those details, it doesn't seem to be making a point.
Correct.
Right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, this is Calancore, he's like the head secretary guy, Talleyrand, right? But who cares?
Right.
They might as well just not have named him, because it's not like it comes up later that Talleyrand is this great, foreign minister.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my big point is, I was telling you guys, is that I think it doesn't tell the story of Napoleon. Napoleon was a genius and one of the greatest military commanders of all time, and the film just doesn't convey that at all.
Right. When he crowns himself emperor, I was like, how did that happen? He's kind of a clown.
Well, when we end up in Egypt, we're like, we're in Egypt now. Why?
Right.
Who knows? We're just here now.
It feels like it was too broad. He was covering too much, and he covered nothing.
And just within it, he didn't do a good job. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to say, I think this is a real Ridley Scott bomb, because there's other films that he's done that don't strictly adhere to the history, but they're really great films. They're great movies. They're great stories to watch. This one...
Yeah, you were talking about Gladiator. Gladiator is awesome.
Right. Gladiator is awesome, but the history is kind of weird.
But a very enjoyable movie.
Very enjoyable movie.
Yeah, epic.
And I mean, he made, in my mind, one of the best Napoleonic movies, which is The Duelists.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main point is Napoleon's life is, it's huge, it's complex, it involves a massive amount of military campaigns, a lot of political intrigue, a lot of relationship stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of characters. If you're going to do it, you can't put it in one movie. It's got to be at least a miniseries. And really, if you want to learn about Napoleon, read some books.
Yeah, I would say.
I think that's right. Right. There's just so much. There's so much to cover, and it's so rich to do it in 2.5 hours, I think, is impossible.
Well, to do it in that scope.
Yeah.
To show the whole story. You can't do it, right? You
Yeah.
could have just picked something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was really, I had low expectations, and I was like, well, I'm a media guy. I've made documentaries and films. I get that you have to make compromises for the story, but the story wasn't even good.
Yeah, wasn't even there, really.
It's
to my mind, it wasn't even there.
And I didn't even get one line to use as a war game.
No. You got to go back to the 1970 film, which is full of great war gamer lines.
It's definitely the best.
Yep.
All right.
So this is Ridley Scott's Retreat from Russia. We hope he does better next time.
All right, we got a lot of Napoleonic content coming, so don't let this movie prevent you from watching it.
It's good stuff. It's good
really
stuff.
We promise you better.
Yeah.
We promise you better. If you felt ripped off by Ridley Scott, come to Mark's game room. We'll give you something good. You'll be rewarded. You got it. Okay, like and subscribe. We're going to do lots of great stuff. We need more subscribers, right?
Always.
Absolutely.
Always.
Okay. We'll catch you guys next time. We got lots of great stuff coming.
At 10,000 subscribers, we burn Moscow.